Good day, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this important confined space training session. My name is Yusuf Ali, and I'll be leading this session. The purpose of this training is to ensure everyone's safety when working in confined spaces at our construction site. Let's begin. Introduction. Explain the importance of confined space safety and how it relates to the construction site's overall safety goals. Emphasize that this training is meant to equip everyone with the knowledge and skills needed to identify, evaluate, and control confined space hazards. Definition of confined space. Confined space training is a type of training designed to educate individuals about the potential hazards and safety protocols associated with working in confined spaces. Confined spaces are areas that have limited entry and exit points and are not designed for continuous occupancy. These spaces may pose risks due to limited ventilation, restricted movement, potential exposure to hazardous substances, and other safety challenges. The primary goals of confined space training include hazard awareness. Trainees learn to recognize the various hazards that can be present in confined spaces, such as toxic gases, lack of oxygen, fire, explosion risks, and physical obstructions. Risk assessment. Individuals are taught how to assess the risks associated with entering a confined space, including evaluating the atmosphere, identifying potential sources of danger, and considering the tasks to be performed. Safe entry and exit. Proper techniques for entering and exiting confined spaces are covered, focusing on the use of appropriate equipment like harnesses, lifelines, and communication devices. Ventilation and atmosphere monitoring. Training includes information about the importance of proper ventilation and the use of gas detectors to monitor the atmosphere within the confined space. Personal protective equipment, PPE. Participants learn about the necessary PPE, such as respirators, helmets, gloves, and clothing, to protect themselves from potential hazards. Communication. Effective communication methods within confined spaces, such as using radios or hand signals, are emphasized to maintain contact with those outside the space. Emergency procedures. Training covers how to respond to emergencies, including rescue procedures, first aid, and evacuation plans. Roles and responsibilities. Individuals are informed about the roles and responsibilities of team members involved in confined space entry, including attendants, entrants, and supervisors. Regulations and standards. Confined space training usually includes information about relevant regulations, standards, such as OSHA's confined space standards in the United States, and best practices. Case studies. Real-life examples and case studies of confined space incidents and accidents are often used to illustrate the importance of proper training and safety measures. Certainly, here are some examples of confined space training scenarios to illustrate the importance of such training and how it might be applied in real-life situations. Example 1. Sewer maintenance crew. Scenario. A team of workers is assigned to perform maintenance in a sewer system. The confined space they are entering has limited ventilation and potential exposure to toxic gases due to decomposing waste. Training application. 1. Hazard identification. Workers need to identify potential hazards like toxic gases, lack of oxygen, and physical obstacles within the confined space. 2. Atmosphere testing. Before entry, workers must use gas detectors to assess the atmosphere for toxic gases and ensure sufficient oxygen levels. 3. PPE selection. Workers need to wear appropriate PPE, including respirators, gloves, and protective clothing, to guard against exposure to hazardous substances. 4. Ventilation. Proper ventilation should be established to reduce the concentration of toxic gases. 5. Communication. The team should establish clear communication protocols, using radios or hand signals, to stay connected while working inside the sewer. Example 2. Tank cleaning operation. Scenario. Workers are tasked with cleaning the interior of a storage tank that previously contained chemicals. The tank has a small access hatch and limited space for movement. Training application. 1. Risk assessment. Before entering, workers must assess potential risks like residual chemicals, lack of oxygen, and potential for fire or explosion. 2. Permit system. Workers should use a confined space entry permit system to ensure proper authorization, risk assessment, and safety measures. 3. Atmosphere monitoring. Continuous monitoring of the atmosphere is crucial to detect any hazardous gas buildup. 4. Emergency plan. Workers should be trained on emergency procedures, such as evacuation and rescue plans, in case a hazardous situation arises. 5. Entry and exit techniques. Proper techniques for entering and exiting through the access hatch, including the use of harnesses and lifelines, should be practiced. 6. Supervisor's role. The supervisor must be aware of the activities and be prepared to manage any unexpected situations. Example 3. Utility vault inspection. Scenario. A team is sent to inspect a utility vault located below ground level. The vault contains electrical equipment and may have limited oxygen due to its enclosed nature. Training application. 1. Training on electrical hazards. Workers need to be trained to recognize the electrical hazards associated with the equipment in the vault. 2. Entry procedures. Workers should use proper entry techniques, ensuring proper lighting, ventilation, and atmospheric testing. 3. Oxygen levels. Continuous monitoring of oxygen levels is vital to ensure worker safety. 4. Communication equipment. Proper communication devices, such as radios or intrinsically safe communication tools, should be used to stay connected. 5. Rescue planning. A rescue plan should be in place, with designated rescue personnel and equipment readily available. 6. Review of regulations. Workers need to be familiar with relevant regulations, such as OSHA standards, governing confined space entry. Example 4. Silo inspection. Scenario. Maintenance workers are tasked with inspecting the inside of a grain silo that has not been used for a while. There's a risk of grain dust buildup and potential engulfment. Training points. 1. Hazard awareness. Workers should understand the risks of grain dust accumulation, which can lead to fires, explosions, or suffocation. 2. Risk assessment. Evaluating the potential for grain bridging and flowing during entry, which can lead to engulfment. 3. PPE. Wearing appropriate PPE such as respirators, gloves, and protective clothing. 4. Communication. Maintaining communication with attendants outside the silo. 5. Engulfment prevention. Properly testing the stability of the grain surface before entry and using devices to prevent engulfment. 6. Emergency procedures. Knowing how to signal for help and being aware of rescue techniques specific to grain silos. 7. Entry and exit procedures. Using ladders, harnesses, and lifelines for safe entry and exit. 8. Atmospheric conditions. Monitoring for dust levels and ensuring proper ventilation. These examples highlight the diversity of confined space scenarios and how training can be tailored to address specific risks and challenges. The key takeaway is that confined space training equips workers with the knowledge and skills necessary to identify hazards, make informed decisions, and respond effectively to ensure their safety while working in such environments. It's important to note that the specific content and requirements of confined space training can vary depending on the industry, location, and the nature of the confined spaces involved. Employers are typically responsible for providing this training to employees who are likely to work in confined spaces as part of their job responsibilities. Proper training helps reduce the risks associated with confined space work and ensures the safety of workers. Thank you all for your attention. Remember, your safety and the safety of your colleagues are our top priorities. If you have any questions after this training, please don't hesitate to reach out. Stay safe out there,